Hello. You joined me today for an uncharacteristically negative video. I am going to have a rant about Games Workshop. I'm sorry. Now, I nearly didn't make this video because, by and large, I love Games Workshop. I have been labelled, and not totally inaccurately, as a bit of a fanboy. And Games Workshop do make, in my view, the best miniatures, the best games to play with, and some of the best hobby stuff as well. And I don't like... There are people, I'm not going to name names at this point, but there are people on YouTube whose whole shtick, right, is being critical of Games Workshop. And once in a rare blue moon, a non-critical video will come out. But their whole shtick is being really, really critical of Games Workshop. Now, I'm not talking about the channels that try not to mention Games Workshop very much and focus on other hobby stuff. That's totally fine, right? I'm talking about the couple of channels out there that talk about Games Workshop more than I do, but it's always relentingly negative, and I don't generally like that kind of moaning. But I think you'll see if you stick with the video, I've got a reason to moan. My first issue is, why is everything to do with Kill Team out of stock forever? Now, I've ranted for this a little bit already in my tournament report from the last Warhammer World event that I attended. The Critical Ops TAC Ops mission card pack is still not available for sale. And it really... I've got mine, and Mrs. TI's got hers, but that's not the point. It needs to be widely available. There should be 8 or 9 of them on the shelves in every Games Workshop forever. I want to be able to tell the kids who, I am challenged every single week to a game of Kill Team by one of the lads, year 10 lad in my after-school Warhammer club that I run, because he really wants to play it and he wants to learn it properly. Not all the little kids do want to learn games properly, but this is, older teenage lad wants to learn the game properly, wants me to teach him properly how to play, and I want to be able to tell him, go and pick up this card pack. I can't, because I know there's not on the shelves in the local Games Workshop. I know it's not that easy, right? These boxes, Soulshackle, what are they doing? The model is ridiculous. You've got kids that want to play Kill Team, and these boxes come out. No kid has 110 quid just in the back pocket to spend in the blink of an eye because your boxes come out for a certain time. If the box stuck around for a little bit, they could get them Christmas, birthdays. It would make the hobby so much more accessible. But these things just aren't available, and they aren't available in anything like the numbers they need to be available. And yeah, I know, and you guys are going to be like, you can just use Wikipedia, and there's all these cool websites for using the Critical Ops online and doing all that. You shouldn't need to be on the bleeding edge of engagement with the hobby and with the game and with the online community just to find this stuff. You shouldn't have to haunt all the Discord servers, right? And know big figures in the community and be on first name terms with them and get linked to these kind of dodgy websites that are in pinned comments and things to enjoy the... And look, I'm ragging on Games Workshop, but Games Workshop is not a blob. Kill Team is an amazing game that's brought me many hours of joy, and I just want people to be able to buy it, GW. And I'll say this time and again in case people think I've got the wrong end of the stick. I've got nothing against the creatives at Games Workshop, whether they're rules writers, sculptors, painters, story writers. All those people I will sing the praises of. But why? Why can we not just keep things in stock? Why can we not just let people buy things if they're not totally switched on to how it is you have to go and buy things? Did they make 10 boxes of Soulshackle? It is nowhere. And it puts me in a bad position because I'm there. I've done 2 videos now based on Soulshackle, and in both of them you get comments like, if only I had a copy. How does that make me feel? And I was lucky enough. I got my copy of Soulshackle Even though I was away at an event the day it released, my wife, who loves me very much, was at home and was able to get onto the Games Workshop website at 9:55 and battle through it and refresh and get the box. And we do that and we get stuff. We've also got one of every copy of the Siege of Terror limited edition, only 2,500 copies per time novels, right? Because we are there doing that at the time, doing the thing, because we're in the know. And if you watch this channel and if you're engaged, if you're engaged enough in the community that you're watching a small channel like mine, you can be in the know for these things as well. And if you want them and you want to spend the money for them, you can get them pretty easily. But I can understand that for a super limited edition version of a novel. A super limited edition novel is for the super fans, and the super fans will work it out fine. But it shouldn't be that way. Especially not for the Critical Operations Pack, which is such a core thing. It's like a really fantastic, well-crafted, excellent addition to the game. It completely changes and improves what I already thought was a brilliant game and makes it so much better. And I'm really irritated. And I just had to have this venue to let out my irritation. I cannot grasp. It shouldn't be that hard to get hold of Kill Team stuff. But it's not just the stock issue. Why are they trying to freeze out friendly local gaming stores? So I've got here a little email press release thing that Element Games put out when the Kill Team Soulshackle pre-order went up. They said, please note stock allocations for this week's Games Workshop releases are extremely low. Please pay attention to your expected dispatch date when ordering. All orders will be fulfilled chronologically as the stock arrives in the coming weeks. And I've talked about this before. I love Element Games. I've been there in person recently, actually, getting some spray undercoat for my Dark Eldar Kill Team. I should really get back to painting. I'm happy to recommend them, not just because they have an affiliate program, but I shopped with them beforehand. They've never let me down, and they are, and this is an example of that, they are very transparent when there's an issue. Right? But that doesn't help me. It helps me not buy things from them. It helps me go, I better order from GamesWorkshop.com to make sure I get it. That's not fair for those friendly local gaming store owners who are the pillars of the established hobby community in their area. Like, I quite like my local Games Workshop store, but I like the local Games Workshop and I support it because I'm a teacher and I know kids, and kids get the most out of Warhammer stores. As an adult player, you're mostly going to get your stuff at a third-party store. And those third-party stores, those are people taking a real financial risk. Games Workshop is a billion, or at least a multi-million pound company. More on that later. But they can afford to take risks. These are little operations, 1 or 2 locations. Some of the bigger ones, Element Games have a second location, but they can't afford to take this hammering on Warhammer stuff, which is their bread and butter. And if you look in various Discords, apparently it's a very similar story from trade accounts across the globe. It's not just an Element Games issue by any stretch of the imagination. Element Games are one of the good guys because at least they've communicated it. Some places don't communicate when they have this problem. They just take the money and sit on it, right, and then wait for you to sort of request it back. And I have seen that some stores have apparently got single-figure numbers of new releases. Another question is, why are things taking so long to ship? So I ordered my Soulshackle at the very start of the pre-order period, and it didn't arrive until Tuesday. Now, maybe you think that's small potatoes compared to everything else we've said, but in the past, if you ordered a pre-order and you selected Royal Mail Delivery from GamesWorkshop.com, it was always there on Saturday. Right? Sometimes you shot yourself in the foot. If you ordered UPS delivery, it would come on the Monday because UPS don't do Saturdays at that price point that the Games Workshop offer. But if you ordered Royal Mail delivery, it would always come on the Saturday of release. Now I know people are going to say in the comments, but there are post strikes. There are post strikes, But in the particular window of this 2 weeks, there were not any post strikes in the UK. Okay? And I know that it's not Royal Mail's fault, because I know when I got the dispatch notice from Games Workshop, and it turned up the day after I received the dispatch notice on the Monday. So they didn't even dispatch it till the Monday after release. That's not normal for them. And again, I've heard from others that people were waiting a weird amount of time to get their pre-orders. And then we got the debacle with the advanced copies not going to reviewers. You know, Glass Half Dead, no man reads book, no miniatures in time to take away with him on holiday. You know, Ash Barker, no man reads book, no Kill Team coverage. All the usual places, or in some places like Command Point, they put theirs up late. They wait till they have their set in hand. Like, this, I'll touch on this later, it could have been deliberate, but this just seems like a massive logistical problem that Games Workshop have created themselves for. Have they grown too fast? What are the reasons? Well, let's look at some theories. So, I've heard that Games Workshop have expanded and invested in a new Amazon-style robotic warehouse in Nottingham. So maybe that accounts for some of the dispatch issues, right? I also hear that Games Workshop is doing a lot of printing of boxes, cards, and books over in China still. Like, we've been talking about this for ages. They have moved some printing to the UK. It does tend to say on the back of stuff where it was produced. Games Workshop, I don't understand, but it's not that much. It's not that expensive, surely, with the costs of shipping now. Intercontinental shipping. Surely it's not that much more expensive to get things printed up in the UK. And yet. So the lead times are huge because you've got stuff coming over by shipping container, which apparently means, or so I've heard, that they had to put in the order, they had to do their forecasting for the number of Soulshackle boxes, and then they were on the boat from China before they knew how well Shadow Vault sold. You know, so they have to guess how many things they want to produce. Based on how well they think it will do. And then if they massively oversell or massively undersell, that's a problem. And in fairness, they'd rather have people that want it and can't get it than have copies sitting in their warehouse. Because I'm told, again, you hear these things, you don't know if people know what they're talking about, but you hear them, that warehouses are apparently, the two warehouses are apparently filled to the brim at all times. So this sort of thing is only going to get worse as they ramp up for 10th edition. They must know, because we know 10th edition of 40k is coming, and they must know that whatever the 10th edition version of Indomitus is, like, that must already be in warehousing. If the timelines that people are saying for 40k 10th edition are anywhere near accurate, that's either already in warehousing or very, very shortly going to arrive in warehousing, which is almost, I think, why they're rushing out so many box sets. Right, because they're trying to clear the deck so they can warehouse all of whatever the 10th edition version of Indomitus, that big launch box, because that's going to be frighteningly popular. Because there's all the people that will come out of the woodwork who've basically quit 40k that will buy the launch box. Like, everybody who even touches a Games Workshop thing is going to buy that launch box. Right? So what does that mean for all the other goods? We do need to address whether it's a cock-up, which is a charming English phrase that I promise you isn't rude, or conspiracy, right? Now, this is an old quote from a British politician who was interviewed once, and people were accusing the government of various conspiracies, and he said people would probably do better if they subscribed to the cock-up theory of government rather than the conspiracy theory of government. It's the idea that sometimes bad things happen because good people mess up, rather than because there is some grand conspiracy. And I always, in fairness, I always try and live my life that way. I always try and assume good faith, and I always try and tell people Hanlon's razor applies, and never to assume malice, and always to assume that it's a mistake and it's been done in good faith. And that's just the way I am. Maybe that makes me a little bit of a doormat sometimes, but that is the way that I am, and it's what I generally try and believe. But I think I would be doing people a disservice if I didn't mention these 2 points. right? Which is, first of all, it could be that the decision not to send early copies of things to YouTube folks and instead go with a watermarked PDF, that could be nothing related to these logistical problems. That could be a policy shift. You know, they could be going to watermarked PDFs because they don't like Man Reads Book, right? Why would they? You know, Man Reads Book happens, people harvest the screenshots, people have book. People, like, ironically, I know that the Wikipedia guy doesn't put his website together from screenshots because he waits until he has a high quality version that he can use optical character recognition on. But maybe that's what they're thinking of. I don't know. And then starving of friendly local gaming stores, like, it does maximise their profit. If you have 10 boxes, right, you can sell them to Element Games for, I mean, let's think, if Element Games give you 25% off, which they sometimes do, right, so they must be buying them for what, 50% of Games Workshop retail price, and then they may then make 25% markup on what because they've got to make a profit, right? So Games Workshop is getting twice as much money. I mean, what you've got to realise here, hang on, is that if Games Workshop sells to trade for, say, 50% of list price, Games Workshop is still making a profit on the 50% of list price that they sell to trade. Trade then put on their margin, which allows them to sell 75% of list price and still make a profit, right? So compared to all of that, if Games Workshop just sells it through retail for its RRP, that's just, it's free money for GW. If they know they haven't made enough, why send enough to friendly local gaming stores? If they know, as they will have known when Soulshackle arrived, you know, in my view, the most likely outcome is a combination of both. Like, the cock-up is going up. We didn't guess correctly how many we would need. We know this is going to be really popular now because now we can see how popular Shadow Vault was. Let's hold these back now so that we can maximise the profit from the ones that we have. If we know for sure that we're going to sell all 10, we may as well sell them for the highest price. It's kind of economics 101. But it sucks. It sucks for these smaller companies and the people that want to support them, because it means that through no fault of their own, from nothing they could have done, no good business they could have done to mitigate the problem, they will miss the significant cash bump that they get from a new big release. And even I noticed this. I have the Elephant link down below, and when previous big Kill Team boxes have come up, just from the 6 or 7 people that clicked through and ordered them from Element Games, I've got, you know, tens of pounds, a decent amount of money. One person used the Elephant link to order Soulshackle from Element Games. One person, and I haven't even checked whether they actually got their box. Right, I can find out for you. If I go to, I know this is thrilling, absolutely thrilling, right? But I think it's important to know, and it's important to be transparent, right? So if we go here, Element, I'll put it on screen. I don't care. You can see. Can you? Yeah, you can see. So these are my orders. Don't need to worry so much about that. We go in here to, right? This is what people have bought using the link. I can't see what you buy, but pretty sure down here, what's the date? 31st. Somebody ordered something on the 31st of January that they're still waiting for stock on. That wouldn't have been Soulshackle. I think this one here was Soulshackle, right? So at least that person got their order, which is good. Mate, if you order something on the 31st of January and it's not shipped yet, I'd get in touch. Like, I don't get the £6 until it ships, but I'd get in touch. But yeah, one person. And normally, if we look back, the previous times the boxes have come out, and you can see kind of the spike of, you know, well, there's 2 orders there. There's, you know, 4 big orders there, you know. So it's a silly thing. I don't really care for myself, but it does affect me as well. It affects the whole ecosystem when Games Workshop hold things to themselves. Now, the thing is, I don't really have an excuse, right? I know that I've outlined here a slide of what basically could be construed as excuses, the warehousing thing and the dispatching thing and the China and the international shipping and all the rest of it. Games Workshop is not a small company. Games Workshop is not a small company. And even if it is a series of cock-ups, we can't just give them a pass and say, oh, well, you know, these things happen, business, etc. Games Workshop, I love this headline. Now, I'll do a little bit of cultural translation for you. If you're American, you don't know who these other companies are. This is The Economist, so this is a sensible, obviously money-minded magazine that comes out in the UK, and they've got a website as well. And their article here, Why Games Workshop is Worth More Than Marks & Spencer and Centrica. So Marks and Spencer, I don't know if you have an equivalent kind of shop in the US. Marks and Spencer's like this quintessential British department type store. Like they mainly sell clothes, so men's clothes, women's clothes, children's clothes, kind of a middle class clothes shop, right? Like quite smart clothes as well, suits and ties and things, as well as like jeans and t-shirts and stuff like that. They also sell food of a slightly higher kind of class than you would get in the ordinary supermarket. You get like slightly fancier food. It's all their own brand of food, and they also sell like homewares and plates and bed sheets and curtains and furniture and all that sort of thing. A big company, you know, national company, real household name. Games Workshop are worth more than them. And Centrica's the absurd one. So Centrica is the parent company of a company called British Gas. British Gas generate and sell natural gas, the stuff that you burn in order to heat your home and to cook your dinner. It's a pretty important product, as products go, that many people choose to consume, is natural gas. Now, they don't produce, we don't have nationalised energy anymore, so they don't produce and sell 100% of natural gas to all households in the UK, but they are the single biggest provider of natural gas to people in the UK, and they also sell electricity now as well. So they're not just natural gas, also electricity. Also they do like plumbing, and they'll come and sell you a boiler, and they'll service your boiler, and they'll do, if you can have insurance with them. So if you get like a water leak in your radiator at 4 a.m, they'll send a man around to stop it from dripping everywhere. Really big household names in the UK, you know, and Games Workshop's worth more than them. And my point is really, for the UK audience, they know the point I'm trying to make is that you wouldn't accept this standard of service from M&S or from British Gas, but we'll accept it from Games Workshop because they sell less, like their product is more frivolous, and therefore we hold them to a lower standard. Seems to be the logic and reason there. But they've got the money. They've got the money to employ the people who can get this right. And it's, again, I know I'm going on the attack, and that's very unlike me. It's the basic, boring business things, warehousing and logistics, that they are messing up the biggest. Okay? I'm in love with the models and the games, and I've got nothing but admiration and respect for all the creatives that work at Games Workshop. I've said that before. And I haven't even mentioned the price rise. The price rise is... Yeah, the prices are going up 6%, and that sucks. And I'm a teacher, and my wages are only going up 5%. And that's why the National Education Union is on strike again tomorrow. Like, fine. It could be much... You know, I've got a letter here from my phone company, my mobile telephone company, right? My bill with them is going up 14.4%. 14.4. 14.4. Right? Because it's the Consumer Price Index rate of inflation plus 3.9%, because they're a telecoms company. And we're all paying them to upgrade the network. Right? So that, I don't care about the price rise. I know everyone's like, oh, a price rise. It could have been much, much worse. Like, hopefully they're using that money to give a price rise to their staff. Like, that's what you like to think. and they're paying the increased bills that they have to properly heat their rooms that all their human beings have to sit in while they're sculpting and things. Like, fine, I don't care, right? I want to give them money. I want to give them money for the product they produce that I love, but they're not making enough of it. And ultimately, if anything kills these games, it will be this stuff. The fact that you want to try and get someone into Kill Team, and then you have to be like, yeah, well, it comes out in these boxes, but they sell out super quickly, and they're 110 quid. And then it takes ages for the other stuff to show up that was in the boxes. Oh, and the game only works properly with these cards, but also they didn't make enough when they originally printed them. And now we're waiting for news on a second print run, but if you want them, you can find them on this sketchy website. Like, that's what kills these games. Do you know what's a really cool game that Games Workshop made once? Aeronautica Imperialis. They still notionally support Aeronautica Imperialis, but they can't keep the cards and the books and everything else that you need to play that game actually in their shops. So nobody really people play it once in a blue moon, right? And us getting our stuff is going to get deprioritized when 40k 10th hits the fan. Like, it absolutely is going to get deprioritized when 40k 10th hits the fan. It can't not. And it's not a problem for me personally, right? I am a whale, a super fan, whatever you want to call it. I've got my ways and my methods of sizing things up so that I will be there at the time, beating the bots, getting the stuff. I mean, the bots, this is the other thing. Scalpers, Games Workshop. If you didn't create all this scarcity, which I don't even believe, like, to a degree they do it on purpose for marketing, to a degree, but they don't surely want it to be this scarce. But you wouldn't make it so lucrative for these people who buy stuff up with a little bot and then list it on eBay with an extra 100 quid on the top. You want to bash your head against a wall. And, you know, I'm not going to stop buying this stuff because I'm in love with it. But I am perhaps going to make this video and just make a little bit of noise. And maybe, I know that some people with some connections to the peripheries of other people that work in Nottingham might pick this up and be like, oh, have you seen this guy? He's usually really polite and really positive and really loves the stuff, and we've really annoyed him. And maybe he's like a bellwether of this wider section of the community. Because the thing is, if you whine all the time, if you're one of these channels where you just moan every week, yeah, you've got a new problem, then can you blame these people for tuning you out? And I just hope that I can trade on the reputation I have as someone who's generally really positive to say that this is a problem. And it's a problem that's fixable. And if Games Workshop fix it, they'll have more money and we'll be able to buy more toy soldiers. Like, it absolutely beggars belief. Why are they hobbling themselves and harming the community of people that love their games and the things that they produce? Why would anybody willingly do that? So if you have that, and the thing is, I know I'm not special and I don't have a big audience, and probably there are millions of people, not millions of people, that's ridiculous hyperbole, but there are hundreds of people who are already inside Games Workshop, who are working there, who share the exact same frustrations that I do. It must be, and I know you can't say anything, but it must suck to be Elliot and to make those cards for Kill Team, for your game, your baby that you love, and then someone somewhere just doesn't get enough of them ordered, and then people can't use them, and then everyone just whinges about it continually. And you've done nothing wrong. You've made one of the best Games Workshop games in about a decade. But people's enjoyment is being spoiled because they can't get the stuff. Because Games Workshop is sucking at being a shop. Okay? That's the part that they can't do. Games, great. Shop, not so good. You're supposed to make the stuff that we want so that we can buy it, so we can exchange our money for it, and then you get to keep the money and we get the stuff. That's how this works. Not that you make 5 things and no lifers like me. Yeah, and I'm not even moaning for myself. This is not me saying, I've got mine. I've got mine. right? But I don't feel good about it because of all the people out there going, well, I really want it, and I can't get it. I'm repeating myself. I'm irritated. So, what do you think? Like, let me know in the comments. Do you care? Maybe you don't care. If this is too negative and you don't want this kind of content on the channel, like, I totally understand. I've got people who follow me and respect me and have signed up, and even people who are channel members, and I'm sure one of the reasons that they've done that is because they love hearing positivity. I want to be positive. It's a hobby that I love. It really is. I can't stand... There's 2 channels I'm thinking of. I'm determined not to slander them. But I can't stand people who just post bilge every day. Like, this sucks. This new thing about Games Workshop sucks, and this is why. Like, don't do that. But I'm so frustrated. Like, honestly, guys, it's challenging because you want to love something and you want to be enthused by something, but not everyone can get the stuff that they want to get. It's so tough when you've got something and other people want it and they just, through no fault of their own, like, now struggle to get hold of it. Right? Maybe you think it's not negative enough and I should stop wringing my hands. I should just stand on a soapbox and say, Games Workshop are full of rubbish. I mean, let me know. I don't think I will. I know there's some people that love that kind of content. If they didn't love that kind of content, there wouldn't be YouTube channels predicated around whining about Games Workshop every day. But something needs to be said by somebody who doesn't habitually... This is my reasoning. Something needs to be said by somebody like me who doesn't habitually whine about things. So hopefully somebody actually notices and goes, oh, yeah, hang on. People are quite upset that they can't buy our things. And we are a person that derives a corporate person. Corporate person, that's weird. But we, Games Workshop PLC, are a person that derives our value from people being able to buy our things. Like, these are not goals that should be in competition with each other. I want to buy your stuff. I want to sell you my stuff. Okay, here's some money. Oh, only kidding. I don't have any stuff left. Like... And I know there's people with, I think, too much tinfoil on their heads that say it's all false scarcity and it's false scarcity all the way down and nobody would buy anything if it wasn't false scarcity. I know a lot of people who I am 99% sure would still pre-order every single Kill Team box, even if they knew that Kill Team box was going to be in stock for the whole quarter. Like, if it was going to be consistently restocked for the whole quarter. I'm not saying these things have to be... They can be seasonal, right? But seasonal means, you know... Heck, can you imagine if Games Workshop operated a seasonal model? You go in, you buy stuff, you pay a price. If they have some left, like at the end of the season, they could discount the stuff they have left at the end of the season. Right, but then also it's competing with the new stuff. What? You know, like clothes shops do. You ever wanted to buy a Hawaiian shirt in December? It's hard to do, but if you find one, it's cheap. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments, because I'm not entirely comfortable with this kind of content, so it helps. If you liked it, do give it a like. I will be looking at the likes and the dislikes, the old ratio. If this is the first video of mine that you've seen, maybe don't subscribe, because this isn't the kind of content that I do usually. Have a look at some of the rest of the content, and if you like that, then subscribe. Join the Discord and tell me stuff as well. We had a really good chat on the Discord today about other things. So yeah, thanks. Bye-bye.